Alright, so in my last video, I discussed the worst case scenario for Bitcoin. So I thought, why not today? Let's lay out the best case scenario for Bitcoin if this is going to be the super cycle of super cycles, jumping into unlikely yet feasible scenarios for Bitcoin within the next couple years if certain things happen in the world, like a central bank digital currency backed in Bitcoin, which would be insane, and that would obviously put the Bitcoin market cap up there with gold. And even outside of that pipe dream, which, let's be realistic, the central bank digital currency being backed to Bitcoin is probably not going to happen. There are some things on the chart that is showing me that this rally could go to prices that will melt faces. So let's get into it. First things first, I'm going to flip the bearish indicator on the chart that actually might indicate just further accumulation on Bitcoin that will send us to multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars into an extreme blow off top by 2025 or so. And that is going to be the fact that we are under this daily EMA, right? I've been very cautious about us getting under this daily EMA because historically we don't do that during the parabola of a bull run. Now, if Bitcoin hasn't reached its final phases yet where it's gone parabolic, getting under the daily EMA is actually perfectly acceptable and shows that you're just early in the cycle. So let's get some examples of that and see where we could be in the cycle given best case scenario. So we can see we're under the daily EMA here, right? This blue line that comes through the chart like this, you can see we've gotten under it once, got back above it, tested it as support, and now we are sitting back under it, hoping to reclaim it and back test it as support once again. So let's go ahead, let's look at previous cycles and see if that daily EMA can tell us where we are in the cycle. Right, gotten under it once, gotten under a second time after leaving bear market range. Well, in 2020, after we left the bear market range, which would be right here, we never got under that daily EMA again until we were at the very top, and that signaled the bear market after that daily EMA was broken. But we already know that we got under the daily EMA and reclaimed it once already after leaving the bear market range, and we were much higher than that. So clearly you cannot say that just because we're getting under the daily EMA signals the top, which is why I'm not worried about getting under the EMA once again on this correction, right? Because I think we're still in something like we had it back in 2021, whereas we held the daily EMA here. We didn't this time, but it's fine because that is where we are in the fractal, and that's why I've said this is where I think we are in the cycle. But what if we're just not that high yet, right? What if we're still in accumulation phase for Bitcoin and the parabola hasn't even begun? And that's why we're still swinging under these EMAs. And maybe the 2021 bull market isn't the right bull market we should be comparing to. So let's go ahead, let's jump all the way back to 2017. So looking at the 2017 bull run, this one goes into a complete parabola blow off top situation, which I think is possible, right? We didn't have a blow off top last bull run. Maybe they switch it up and now we'll get another blow off top for what I believe is the .com bubble of crypto. So again, we're just looking at the daily EMA here. You can see that we did in fact actually get under this twice after leaving the bear market range. So it does look somewhat similar to how price is acting right now. Swing the daily EMA once, swing it a second time, and then from that point on, we went ahead and we rallied around 450%. So could we say right here is where we are in the cycle now, and we're about to have a massive blow off top into, let's just say $200,000, $250,000 Bitcoin? It is possible, right? It's definitely possible that we do a similar cycle to 2017. This is where we are in the cycle. And while I don't think it's necessarily going to happen, there are some other indications pointing to this. All right, so you have your daily EMA that could signal that, as well as I know a lot of people like to use these rainbow charts for Bitcoin. If we look at the rainbow chart, it still says we're cheap, right? It still says we're at a buying point for Bitcoin, and not until we get up to around $200,000 where you could see a blow off top come in like we had back in 2017. So that all aligns pretty good. Again, do I think that's going to happen? No, I think we're probably going to top out around $100,000 Bitcoin where it says, is this a bubble? Yeah, it is a bubble. I think that's where we're going to top. But I definitely see the case for that $200,000 to even $300,000 Bitcoin if we are to go into a massive blow off top here. So just looking at the chart, we can see the Bitcoin could act similar to 2017 and we go into a massive blow off top here in the next coming year or so. And that's just how the cycle is going to play out, right? Instead of distribution we had back in 2021, it's going to go into this, full-on blow-off top bubble type situation that all happen very fast, and it'll play out similar to 2017, right? So that's your first kind of best case scenario, right? Big blow-off top for Bitcoin. Instead of doing the distribution we had back in 2021, it fractal something more similar to 2017. So then what's that second best case scenario? And that is going to be a true super cycle for Bitcoin, right? What a lot of people are saying nowadays is that Bitcoin is finally going to do the super cycle, where it becomes a reserve asset for nation states and becomes a digitally traded currency you can use when you go to Walmart, right? Where Bitcoin and digital currencies revolutionize finance and in the future are implemented into society, whereas Bitcoin would be like the gold of the digital currencies. You'd have Ethereum, which is like your silver, and then you would have kind of stable coins, which would be your fiat of the future. And if this were to play out, what you would see for a market cap of Bitcoin would be something that could rival gold. So if Bitcoin were to do something like that, what market cap could we realistically be looking at? We'll go ahead and look at the market cap of gold, and it's sitting at $16 trillion right now. That's about a 16x from Bitcoin's current market cap. So just to give you guys some perspective here, if we go ahead and look at where $16 trillion market cap is for Bitcoin, everything on the chart would look flat compared to where it would go to if it reached the market cap of gold, as you can see right here. So clearly, if we are going to go into a super cycle like this is not going to happen by 2025 or anything of that sort. Now, when could this happen? Well, there is one thing we can look at to get a grasp on how long it could take, and that's going to be the gold ETF, right? If we go ahead and look at when the gold ETF came out, that would have been November 18th of 2004. From this point, it took 7 years for it to reach its top before it had a larger correction and is now going parabolic once again into all-time highs, right? So what is the market cap of when this ETF launched? Well, to find that out, if we know it's 16 trillion right now, I'm just going to measure when that ETF came out to right now, and we can see that's about 450%. So the market cap of gold was, $3.5 trillion. Not too far off from where Bitcoin is right now. So if we were to use this ETF as an indication and say that Bitcoin is going to follow something similar to what gold did after its ETF, we would say that it should take roughly 2,500 days for it to reach a peak market cap of about $6 to $8 trillion. But given that Bitcoin's a more volatile asset that has historically always outperformed gold, we could say that instead of doing the percentages that gold did during that time, we could double that and say that Bitcoin could reach that $16 trillion market cap within the next 7 years or so. Now, while this definitely is a possible thing to happen, people are actually unaware of what gold did following the years after the ETF, and it wasn't just this insane parabola, right? This took 7 years to play out, and after the ETF launched, it wasn't extremely bullish. You can see it only took about 2 weeks for gold to distribute and start trading down and sideways for a very long time until it started the parabola, right? This took from the ETF launch, it took around exactly 1 year for this thing to start making new highs and go parabolic, right? So if this is going to play out anything like the gold ETF, Bitcoin could trade anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 for the next 365 days before it goes on and does the super cycle that everyone's talking about, right? It would take a lot longer than people are expecting. So let's go ahead and we'll jump back over here to Bitcoin. I have the Bitcoin ETF marked out right here. You can see similar thing to gold, right? We originally went up. Now we're getting that corrective phase, but it's like 80 days after the ETF is launched, right? So already we can see that it's not the same as gold, right? And I don't expect this to happen, right? This is a very arbitrary thing to be looking at, is that gold ETF versus the Bitcoin ETF. I just don't think ETFs have as much weight as people think, but there is a case to be made since we have some regulatory clarity on it. This could mean that Bitcoin debases here, forms some sort of super cycle structure, and then goes on to do, a 10 to 20x from current prices in the future, landing us right around a $1 million Bitcoin. So that's kind of your best case scenario, long term, right? You've gone over the short term bull case scenario, the long term bull case scenario, and realistically what's probably going to happen is it'll do something in between the bear and bull case scenarios, right? And go to, maybe $100,000, swing failed out a couple times, and then it'll be lights out for a while before maybe a super cycle does actually take place further down the road. And a decade from now, maybe we could be seeing those $1 million plus prices for Bitcoin, but it will take a very long time, and price action getting there will be quite unpredictable. So I'm going to be ending the video there. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to join the Discord. Link is in the description down below. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you all in the next video.